Well, Winnipeg's music scene is getting into full swing over the next couple of weeks. For the Izzy Asper Jazz Series, they're taking the term full swing quite literally. The series has 3 concerts lined up for the 2025-2026 season, and that starts this weekend with a trumpet extraordinaire taking the stage. Charlene Diehl, organizer of all things, is also the producer of the Izzy Asper Jazz Series, joins us once again in the Classic 107 studios. We should just set up a cot for you in the corner. I think that would make all the sense in the world for thin air. And now we're here with the Izzy Asper Jazz Series. Hi, by the way. Nice to have you.
Hi, it's so nice to be here,
so,
too.
when it comes to the Izzy Asper Jazz Series, for folks who may not be as familiar with it, what makes it stand out in your mind in Winnipeg's jazz sort of ecosystem?
Well, I think maybe the thing that sort of sets it apart from the other there's many things happening in this city. It's an art forward city, you know, which is a reason that I love it. The Asper Jazz Series foregrounds small ensemble playing, which is probably my favorite way to listen to jazz. I really love that, like, kind of tight, small ensemble where you can hear all the voices and they have a lot of interaction. I love that. So that's one side. And the other side is that we try to bring people in who have an international reputation because there's an audience for that, and it's because it's funded through the Asper Foundation, and that was Izzy Asper's vision, was to. There's a great story, Nolan, when Izzy Asper was dreaming up this series. He said one of the things he loved more than anything was just hanging out in New York and going to the jazz clubs. And he said it would be so good if people in Winnipeg had a chance to have that experience of discovering really high-level players, but in that really intimate setting in Winnipeg, and not because everybody doesn't, travel to New York regularly to go listen to jazz, or other cities which are also jazz havens. But I'd say New York is kind of stands as kind of the the Mecca, maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was the dream, like this is the 26th season. So
wow.
About 30 years ago, he started thinking like, well, how could we make this possible for my community in Winnipeg? And here we are still, trying to put that dream into reality.
So when it comes to building that dream and bringing in those artists with that international reputation you were just talking about, what goes into choosing them aside from the fact that they have that sort of international pedigree?
Oh, so that's the secret sauce.
Okay,
mister.
Well.
No, okay, I'll tell you a little bit.
Okay.
I go to New York every January to a couple of festivals there and some clubs, and I just got my ears on, and I'm thinking about the audience here, which is has a very broad base of taste, but maybe not, this series especially, not too weird or experimental. And, actually I love that stuff. So I try to listen to some of that stuff so I can hear, like, where is this art form going? Like, what is its direction? And then I talk to quite a lot of agents while I'm there. And also I just listen all year round. I just have my playlists on, and I'm trying to listen for something that's fresh or something that... And then I kind of have a big collection of possibilities, and then I start reaching out to see, can we afford them? Because some of the acts that I would love to get are a little bit beyond our price point. And you have to get people who are available to come here.
Yeah, right.
And I try to get a balance of different styles and different instrumentation. And it's like if you could only have 3 or 4 concerts, you want... variety in there.
So that's the experience level then for what Winnipeg audiences can expect. Maybe on the flip side of that coin, before we get into what people can hear this weekend, what do you hope that these kind of artists say to Winnipeg audiences? What do you hope they speak into our experience of being here in this place?
That's a great question. I think one of the challenges in Winnipeg, and I have been sort of dealing with this also at the Writers' Festival, is how do we support a really, really active local culture, but also how do we support growth in a local culture by bringing in voices that are unfamiliar here,
Right.
that have some sort of freshness that might, sometimes they just sort of set the bar higher for what local musicians are aiming for. And also local listeners, because, an audience is part of what makes an art scene too. It's not just the artists that you and I know so well, like working away on their craft, but, there does need to be that interaction with who is listening, who is reading, who is watching the film, whatever.
Yeah.
And so, I hope that the visiting artists bring their kind of energy and artistic commitment and their particular flavor, so that it kind of activate some of the interest and curiosity in local artists and listeners too.
Okay, so that's, I think, certainly the case for somebody who is as multi-talented as this weekend's artist.
Oh my goodness.
What can we expect to hear from, first of all, who can we expect to hear, and what catches your ear when you're planning this series and you go, yep, we've got to have that artist as a part of the Izzy Asper Jazz Series?
Okay, so our first artist is Benny Baynack III. I actually tried to get Benny Baynack III last year because I've been sort of listening to him come up. He's really young. He's still a really young musician, but and a very serious trumpet player.
Okay.
So I first heard him as a trumpet player, but also, and he certainly started that way, and then he started singing a little bit on his gigs, and it turns out like he is absolutely a double threat. So he sings as well as he plays trumpet, and as a matter of fact, in the last Downbeat Readers poll, he was number 1 male jazz vocalist and number 8 trumpeter. So, you don't often hit that list, period.
Yeah,
but
right.
to hit it in both instruments, he's also just a really delightful, charming performer. I think of him as kind of our current answer to the Rat Pack.
Wow.
He's kind of got the Sinatra vibe.
He's got the charm,
including
to
the charm, the sound, the styling. He's just he's a charmer in every way. But he's also got the chops. So he's not kind of just going to entertain you. He's going to lift you up because he's just such a great player. So
it's interesting, when I was reading a bit more about these artists and what their sort of fit is for the Izzy Asper Jazz Series, the description for Benny Baynack was that this is an artist animated by joy, was the words. How much is joy, or is that sort of uplifting nature, a consideration for the 2025-2026 season, given the increasingly rarer commodity that joy seems to be becoming?
Wow. Yes. We could all use injection of joy, like every day, you know? And I think this is actually one of the things that art is really important for, because it is it's an escape from kind of the little boxes that we live in.
Sure.
And art can bring you this joy and also can make you weep. It kind of helps you access like a much broader spectrum of emotional awareness. The other cool thing that's happening on this weekend's gig, which I don't know if I even told you this, but in the last couple of weeks, Benny checked in with me and said, hey, I discovered that Jocelyn Gould is going to be back in Winnipeg the weekend that I'm there, so I've asked her to be on the gig with me.
Oh,
so,
wonderful.
Speaking of joy, for those who don't know, Jocelyn Gould is a Winnipeg guitarist who is mostly on the road touring and playing around the world now.
Yes.
And when she plays, she is just like the manifestation of joy. I've never seen a happier player.
A smile that really,
No kidding.
Yeah.
So I think that, and the two of them have worked quite a bit, in different settings. I think they were actually on Jazz at Lincoln Center tours the last little while. Like they're both like a pretty high pedigree there.
Absolutely.
So yeah, apparently Jocelyn's home this weekend and said she'd love to. So we have 2 Winnipeg artists. She'll be there, and also Will Bonas is going to be on the piano.
Okay.
So we've got kind of a blend of New York musicians and Winnipeggers.
Totally. Well, and Jocelyn and Will, of course, partners in real life as well.
Exactly.
This is really, really exciting to hear there's that local flavor to this weekend's concerts. Okay, then we got to touch on the other concerts that we have planned for this year. We'll obviously be talking more about them in detail as we get closer to them. But
Perfect.
What else can people plan on for the Izzy Asper Jazz Series?
Okay, so there's 3 concerts this year, and they happen in October, November, and March.
Great.
And we do encourage people to buy a subscription. You save a little bit of money,
Sure.
but also if you're like me, if you have tickets already purchased, you're much less likely to forget.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. I'm a forgetter more than a rememberer. So our November concert, the very end of November, we're welcoming a saxophonist named TK Blue. And he played a lot with Randy Weston, who was a very major piano player, no longer alive. Did a lot of playing in Africa and was really, really influenced by a lot of African rhythms. So TK Blue is part of the African Rhythm Alumni Ensemble. To me, there's one too many words there.
Yeah, sure.
Forget one of them. And they all are people who have played in Africa with Randy or have been like immediately a part of that group. They're all really sort of old style jazz musicians. I mean, they're not old, but they're also not. They're
Sure.
not like in the 30s
Yeah,
zone
right.
like Benny Baynack. They are. They've got the chops. They've been in the trenches. They play now. There's a group that plays with joy. Those guys
There we
just
go.
are lit up because of and they're also very deeply connected to the history of this music, which all good players are. But if you've actually been on the road with somebody who has been building this art form, I was very delighted to be able to secure them. And it's going to be a different flavor from anything else this year.
Great.
Or for the last few years. It's I'm keen about that one.
Okay.
And then our March concert is a singer named Cyril Aimé, who has been here several times over the past couple of maybe decade or 15 years or so.
Okay.
She's a singer, a beautiful singer, who's one of those people who can kind of take on many. She really expresses songs. I think that's how I would put it. She is embedded in the songs that she sings, and she can sing a broad range of styling. And there's a lot of styling in jazz. Like there's it's almost an impossible spectrum.
Sure.
And she can cover a lot of it. One of the great stories about her is she climbed out the window of her house. She grew up in France near where the Django Reinhardt festival used to take place, and she would crawl out the window at night to go over and sit at the campfires, and that's how she learned how to play guitar. I mean, is that
Brilliant.
great or what?
Brilliant. Artists that are really dedicated to the craft, artists that are steeped in the history. Very excited to dive into this season's Izzy Asper Jazz Series. We'll have more information about these concerts and about how you can get those ticket packages that you mentioned, Charlene, at our website later on this morning, classic107.com and the Classic 107 app. Always a pleasure to have you here, Charlene. Thanks so much for talking about these concerts.
Thank you, too. It was really, really great.